Happy Thursday, YouTube. Well, happy Thursday if you're actually having a happy Thursday, because it's not a great Thursday for a lot of folks, unfortunately. Ukraine is still, well, having fun with the Russians. And even though Ukraine is holding their own, I don't think anyone's really winning that fight in terms of, well, I mean, the Ukrainians are holding their own. They're not losing. But the Russians are still there. They haven't left yet. They haven't realized they're just sending men and material in for no gain, as well as just mostly horrible losses and embarrassing losses at that. So, yeah, it's good times. But anyway, all that aside, just finished up a fuel stop in Pennsylvania, headed back west. First to Ohio and then on to Chicago, at least in theory. We'll see what actually happens. Going home for the weekend. But what am I yammering about today? Well, it is energy, specifically diesel. Right now, diesel in central Pennsylvania is at or over $5 a gallon at the major truck stops, which is just basically just, yeah, it's no fun, no good for anyone. It's just, it's awful. Ideally, freight rates would rise with the cost of fuel, but I think freight rates in some cases are going to take a little bit of time to catch up. So all us truckers need to find some ways to run a little more efficiently, the best we can in the coming days and probably weeks, to stretch out our fuel a little bit, get that extra, you know, tenth or two or whatever mile per gallon, just to kind of, well, make it last, I guess. I normally run 70 miles an hour in my truck. It's a good T680. It's a 17. I mean, not as efficient as the new next gens, of course, but still pretty decent. The computer says I get over 7 miles to the gallon. I don't believe that, but you know, it makes me feel good. That's about all I got going for me on that one.